Michio Suzuki is the name of the man behind the world-famous motorcycle and car brand. He was the founder of the Suzuki Motor Corporation, but you may not be aware that he was also a prolific inventor. He registered more than 120 patents in several areas of engineering across multiple decades. His company, Suzuki Motor, is one of the largest automakers with a revenue of over $31 billion and over 69,000 employees who work day and night for the company. Want to know how Michio Suzuki built this giant company? Watch the full video. We at Business Chronicles tell the stories of extraordinary successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us in making more videos. Suzuki was born on the 18th of February in 1887 in a village called Nezuminomura in the Shizuoka Prefecture. It was so small that it only had 32 houses, and the main skills of its inhabitants were farming and cotton weaving. Suzuki was named after the Shinto deity and historical figure Sugawara no Michizane. As the second son of cotton farmers, he naturally spent his years from 7 or 8 years old onwards picking cotton, but his heart lay elsewhere. By 14, he had begun an apprenticeship in a loom factory that would last 7 years under the strict eye of his teacher, Kotaro Imamura. When Russia went to war with Japan in 1904, the demand for skilled craftspeople evaporated, so Imamura and his apprentice were forced to take on the work of maintaining and weaving looms in a mill. Despite Imamura considering this to be unfit work for an artisan of Suzuki's ability, the young man blossomed in the role, and the skills he acquired served to inspire some of his later innovations. In 1909, the year after his apprenticeship ended, Suzuki gained control over the family's silkworm farm, and he swiftly turned it into a loom manufacturing workshop. At this point, he came up with one of his first inventions, a wooden metal weaving loom that he gave to his mother. This pedal-driven model was so good that it allowed her to weave cloth 10 times more quickly than she'd been able to manage with her hand loom. Suzuki's invention quickly became the talk of the town. Word spread further and the orders started pouring in. He set up the Suzuki Loom Manufacturing Company in October 1909 to manufacture the new looms en masse and satisfy the tide of demand. Because he was not very tall, Suzuki was put in the secondary reserve group of the Japanese Imperial Draft, which was fortuitous because it allowed him to devote all of his energies to manufacturing looms. Over the next several years, this is exactly what Suzuki did, continuing to innovate and refine his loom technology. Part of his success can be attributed to the fact that he often took the advice of the weavers who used his looms, and we can speculate that he did that because of growing up in a village where weaving was woven into the fabric, pun intended, of his everyday life. So he valued the input of the people who knew the craft best. Thanks to their input, he made hundreds of improvements and applied for dozens of patents. He won accolades and prizes, and demand continued to rise. Michio also listened to his customers and used their input to improve his products. One of his sayings was, "Always think from your customer's point of view. Provide whatever your customer needs." This may sound pretty obvious now, but back then, it was ahead of its time. The company was floated on the stock market in 1920, and after only 10 years, it achieved fame overseas. Suzuki had come up with the punch card loom that became very popular across Southeast Asia because it was so good at weaving sarongs. Unfortunately, though, this success didn't last long, because as soon as Japan seceded from the League of Nations in 1933, its export market dwindled. Suzuki's restless mind next led him to experiment with motor vehicle technology, and he produced his first prototype car in 1936. Yet again, though, his efforts were scuppered by external forces, this time in the shape of World War II. As was the case with many civilian manufacturers, the Suzuki Corporation was forced to repurpose its production to meet the needs of the war effort. In this case, Suzuki's factory was put to work making ammunition. Despite the devastation of the war, the rebuilding of the country and its aftermath was extremely beneficial to many Japanese industries. Some called this dramatic transformation the Japanese economic miracle, and Suzuki was one of its beneficiaries. He was now able to restart the work he'd been doing pre-war on motor vehicles, and the fruits of his efforts were first shown in 1952 when Suzuki launched its first motorcycle and renamed the company to the Suzuki Motor Corporation. It was called the Power Free and was a bicycle fitted with a 2-stroke 36cc engine. It proved to be so popular that by 1954 the company was selling an impressive 6,000 units per month. In 1955, the company also launched a car called the Suzulite, a vehicle that foreshadowed the boom in K cars, very compact city cars. It was small and affordable, and Suzuki's prototype featured an 800cc liquid-cooled 4-cylinder 4-stroke engine, which was groundbreaking for its day. It featured a cast aluminum crankcase and gearbox and produced 13 horsepower. Production cars featured front-wheel drive, four-wheel independent suspension, and rack and pinion steering, which was way ahead of its time. These cars were cheap and fun to own, easy to service, and very practical, and they did a lot to help grow Suzuki's international reputation. In 1957, at age 70, Suzuki resigned from the presidency of the Suzuki Motor Corporation. He joined the board of advisors, and his son-in-law Shunzo Suzuki took over the president's role. Suzuki died in Hamamatsu City on the 27th of October in 1982, leaving behind a world-famous brand and a company that now achieves a year in sales. Michio Suzuki was born to poor farmers. In his family, no one had ever done skilled work. He was different, and he wanted to do something big. For that, he went to learn high-skilled work and took 7 years of training. This helped him a lot and played a very crucial role in building one of the world's largest car companies. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this.